Hey there, welcome to the DFS Build NFL edition. Thursday Night Football Week 6 showdown slate coming up here. Eagles and the Giants. Eagles are big touchdown favorites. And a lot of times I look for leverage, but I am not going to do it in terms of stacking up the Giants in this game. We'll have to find different ways to do that. I'm Kevin, and I break down every DFS slate for NFL. For main slate, Taylor joins me, and we'll be doing that again this week. We handed out a bunch of good picks for Monday Night Football, a bunch of good picks for the main slate. We've been hot right now. Let's keep it going into Thursday Night Football. Push through the end of this video to catch my favorite plays as I break down this slate. If anything I do here does help you out, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and also join us in Discord for free. All right, so this is an interesting game in the fact that it's on a short week, and we also have a divisional setting here. But it's not interesting for DFS purposes in the sense that it's probably going to be a blowout. So the Giants obviously beat the Chargers 2 weeks ago. They rallied with Jackson Dart making his first start, and then they came back down to earth, losing 26-14 against the Saints. First half, they looked pretty good. Second half, they looked abysmal. That might be the norm as Jackson Dart kind of figures it out as an NFL starter. New York is at home, and a short week that benefits the home team, especially in divisional setting, but I don't really think that's going to be the case here. I think there's a lot of chatter around the Eagles not being as good as their record or whatever, but I feel like that's a conversation that comes up every single year. I think just they have a target on their back, and it just isn't always going to go exactly how you want it to go. So specifically, one of the things being discussed is that Jalen Hurts in the passing game is just not there. And yeah, that's true. They've had one good game really where they caught fire and were connecting. And there's also truth to the running game hasn't been that good either. I think all of that gets rectified here. The Giants are not a very scary defense. The Giants are literally bottom 5 against running backs, literally bottom 5 against wide receivers in terms of fantasy production given up. So I'm looking for a big A.J. Brown week. I'm looking for a big Jalen Hurts week. That stack right there is where I'd start. And then, of course, you have Saquon Barkley revenge if he indeed does play. I think he's questionable. He was banged up at the end of the last game. So just keep an eye on his status. It's a short week too. So Saquon could be kind of limited, or just because it's limited days rest here, they could just, take it easy on him a little bit. Maybe we could see some Tank Bigsby or Will Shipley. Just keep that in mind. All right, so let's walk through everybody here. The early ownership is having Saquon Barkley as the chalk at captain. Not sure I fully buy that just because this Jalen Hurts. If we really were going to get Jalen Hurts at 5% in the captain slot, this just a slam dunk. I'm going to captain the shit out of Jalen Hurts then. So I don't really believe that. I mean, Cam Scaboo is as alluring as his role is, I don't really think he's going to be the second highest owned option on this slate. I think it's going to be Saquon and Hurts for sure up top, and then maybe it's going to be split between Scadaboo and Jackson Dart, and perhaps we'll get A.J. Brown in there too. I think right now, though, I don't think everybody's going to be on that A.J. Brown, Jalen Hurts stack like I am. Specifically A.J. Brown, because he's been horrendous. There's even trade rumors popping up. I don't really buy that. This team just won the Super Bowl. They've been very good ever since A.J. Brown got there. They're going to figure it out. This is a get-right spot. So I anticipate, just like they did 3 weeks ago, getting him going. He's had 8+ targets in every game this year, except for the opener where he only had 1. So he's been involved. It just hasn't been clicking yet. I think against the Giants, who have not stopped anybody through the air. Rashid Shaheed just had a long-ass touchdown last week. So if the Saints can do it, the Eagles are going to figure it out. So A.J. Brown does stand out to me as my favorite tournament captain right now, just because I'm expecting him to be, not super owned, given what I just said. That said, Saquon Barkley looks great. Obviously, revenge narrative in New York. I would expect him to show up. I certainly want exposure to Saquon as the captain. I certainly want a ton of him in the flex. And Jalen Hurts, if for some reason Hurts is weirdly overlooked at captain, I would be way over on Hurts. We know Hurts has immense, rushing upside, and even he's not playing that well, and he still has had 19+ fantasy points in 4 of his 5 games. So with the tush push, with the goal line carries, with the rushing production, and then of course a really good matchup here against a team he knows, I expect Hurts to be a smash play. So no reason not to like Hurts in the captain whatsoever. I think it's just an ownership thing. Because the Eagles are going to be chalk, we're just going to need to look for a way to leverage that. So like jumping right into high owned Saquon and Hurts just doesn't feel like the way to do it. Even if AJ Brown's a little bit owned, I just think that's the most advantageous way to do it, in my opinion. Now, you can also go to Dallas Goedert, and you can also go to Devontae Smith. I have no problem with that. I think the passing game is going to erupt here. Devontae Smith is just a lot more inconsistent, which is funny because AJ Brown's been mad and just not good, right? But Devontae did get it going last week, 10 targets, 22 fantasy points. He has 2 games over 22 fantasy points on the year. I think he's a fine play for sure, especially if the field is going to gravitate towards the way I'm thinking here. And like AJ Brown does get steamed up and owned, then we can definitely get a little bit leverage with Devontae. One way or another, I am going Eagles heavy. I just want to make sure that I'm creating leverage when I'm doing that, because otherwise we're going to get duped and we're not going to go anywhere. And the whole goal of this is to get a takedown, or at least put ourselves in position for that possibility, and cash at a high rate instead of just barely passing the cash line. So Devontae's not cheap or anything. He's honestly like the same price as AJ Brown. So if I had to pick between one of them, ownership not part of it, it's going to be AJ Brown for sure. And if AJ Brown is like 7% owned projected, and Devontae is like 4 or 5, I'm just going to play AJ Brown. But both look really good, and I don't have an issue with either of them. Dallas Goedert is a little bit interesting just because he's been like super productive, and like part of the reason why he's been productive is because AJ Brown has not been. 10 plus fantasy points in every game he's played. That's pretty impressive. The Giants are not like an amazing matchup, I don't think, against tight ends. Yeah, they have been top 10 against tight ends. That's never a reason to fully fade somebody always. Stats are going to fluctuate, rankings are going to fluctuate, but so far they've played tight ends pretty well. And I don't know about you, but trusting Dallas Goedert to be super, super consistent every game here on out isn't something I feel great about. So I do think maybe going underweight on Dallas Goedert is a smart idea. I think he's a fine flex play, but at 9.6K in the captain, I don't think it's really what I want to do. Historically, he does not have the highest ceiling, and he's not always the most consistent performer. So because he's been so consistent this year, oddly enough, I kind of am afraid to play him. Decent flex play, not really the guy I want to captain. So for the Eagles, you can take a shot on other guys. Like I said, if Barkley's out, this completely changes the slate. Will Shipley or Tank Bigsby are going to be really, really good plays, and certainly captain viable. As things stand, if the game does blow out like I think it's going to, Bigsby and or Shipley are fine flex plays. I don't think I really want to play around with them in the captain, but we've seen it before where the Eagles were up big and Shipley comes in and has a 50-yard run or something crazy, and him or Bigsby could end up doing that. I don't think it's safe, but in tournaments, who really cares about safe? I think you're getting different for sure if Barkley's active and you go play Shipley or Bigsby with him in the same lineup. That's making you unique. Jahan Dotson at 5.1K, Calcaterra, these guys are just shots in the dark, not feeling great about them. The other thing is going to be Jake Elliott, the kicker for the Eagles. Obviously, if we have faith in the Eagles offense getting going here, Jake Elliott's going to look pretty good. Let's see, where is he in the actual projection? I don't actually see him. Okay, well, whatever. He's a kicker. Point is, if they're going to score, Jake Elliott's going to benefit. So I have no problem playing Jake Elliott. Not going to captain him. But on a short week, Thursday night football games, kickers do tend to be the MVP. Historically, they do go off. So not the craziest thing in the world. Just not something I'm going to do a lot of. Then you have the Eagles defense. Haven't really been that great. Steady as far as just a base defense on a main slate, 6, 8, 8. That's okay. But they have not been dominant. This is definitely a spot where we should be able to see them dominate. Obviously, the Giants have a rookie quarterback. They have a rookie running back. They have no Malik Neighbors. There's no real reason to have much faith in the Giants putting up a fight here, and it could be messy. So I expect the Eagles to get sacks. I expect them to get turnovers, and I would not be shocked if they got a defensive touchdown. So if the Eagles are going to dominate so much like I think they can, especially with all the narratives rolling out, I think they're a very interesting captain play. Is it likely that they're going to actually get more raw points than Hurts and Barkley? No, not really. But, they start out with a ton of points immediately, so they're going to get points, unlike somebody like AJ Brown in week 1, he got 1 target, right? So like skill position players, as excited as you are to play them, they're not guaranteed anything, but the defense starts out with guaranteed fantasy points. So especially in this spot, I think they're very interesting in the captain, and I certainly will be getting exposure to them in the flex. If you want to flip the script and play the Giants defense and just buy into the Eagles weirdly being a sinking ship, even though they've only lost 1 game, you could do that. The Giants are at home. It's a short week. It's a divisional opponent. Eagles are struggling. All of that is fine enough to be like, okay, I can try the Giants. Not really thinking they're a captain because the Eagles are still super capable of exploding. And even if you do beat the Eagles, are you actually going to shut them down and limit them to like under 17 points or something? I don't think so. So I don't think the Giants are a great play. And I just don't think I'll be doing that personally. On the other side, Giants, there is some interesting stuff here. Like, we can certainly captain the Giants in the sense, in 2 ways. Number one, if you just think the Giants are going to come out and shock the world and dominate here, then let's start captaining Giants players. On the other side, if you're with me and want to, be Eagles heavy like I think we should be, you can still benefit from it by the Giants playing catch up. Like, Wan'Dale Robinson is no stranger to having like 10 plus targets or 10 catches and just racking up, DK points, even though the Giants aren't good, right? So he could get a ton of production as they come back. Cam Skadoo has a massive role. I think he fumbled last week, but still, like, the guy has been crushing in terms of like getting fed. 22 touch opportunities last week, 27 the week before, 18 the week before that. They want to give him the rock. So no reason not to like Cam Skadoo, even if they're trailing, which they should be. He still has an opportunity to score a touchdown. He's still going to get the ball a lot as a runner, and he's going to get dump offs if they are struggling to do anything down the field, which they probably will. So Wan'Dale and Cam, not in that order. I do like Skadoo. He would be in my flex. I think he's definitely captain viable. And then Wan'Dale, just because his upside is kind of limited. Like, he did go nuts in week 2, 31 fantasy points. That's an aberration, especially with Dart there. We don't really know what to expect. Like, so far, he's not been productive at all with Dart. That could always change. And with no ownership there and them playing catch up, I think he is pretty interesting. Theo Johnson got involved last week, 2 touchdowns, 21 fantasy points. He was getting involved the week before with 10 fantasy points. I think he's an okay play. It's not like the Eagles are a soft matchup by any means. They are top 5 against tight ends. So certainly a jump off point for me. Like, if everybody's going to load up on Theo Johnson in the flex, I don't mind going away from Theo Johnson at all. Jackson Dart, I do have interest in. I don't think it's a fun spot, but he is at home. The short week tends to benefit the home team to some degree. And the Eagles are, they're in a bad spot mentally right now for whatever reason. So Jackson Dart has looked decent in both games, but the big selling point here for Dart is that, number one, it's going to be a game script that probably benefits him for fantasy purposes. He's probably going to have to throw a lot. And number two, he does have a nice rushing floor. So in both games here, he has been pretty productive. Where is he? He did throw 2 picks last game, and that's what rookies do. Scored a rushing touchdown last week, 54 plus rushing yards in both games, 18 plus fantasy points in both starts as well. So it's not always going to look great. The Giants are probably not going to do super well in this game offensively, but I think Dart can get there. He's going to get us probably at least 10 to 15 fantasy points. And as far as like, you do need to play at least one Giants player. As far as guys who are like going to be out there and going to produce something, I think Dart and Skadoo are probably the 2 most likely bets. Like, if you were going to go full stack Eagles with one Giant, I'd be looking at Dart or Skadoo as the one Giant. As far as captaining a Giant, right now I'm looking at Skadoo, Dart, Wan'Dale Robinson. Now, if we want to get even more creative and look for ways to, flip this slate on its ass, then we can go down and look at somebody like Darius Slayton. Only 6 targets in last game with, Malik Neighbors like fully gone now. So, that's whatever. This is a spot though where I think it's not crazy to think he could have a little bit of success down the field. And I just think they're going to be like in the last game, they were not trailing the whole time. They were up 14-3 at one point. So in this game though, my guess is they will be losing the whole time and they'll have to take it to the air a lot sooner. So Slayton getting something down the field and paying off is not crazy at all. So a little bit expensive at 9.9K for me for the captain. Like, I'd much rather go get an Eagle, or I'd much rather go get Dart or Skadoo or Wan'Dale. I think Wan'Dale's a safer play for sure between the 2, which feels weird because Wan'Dale has not been good lately, but that's just where I am right now. And you do have Jalen Hyatt, who is just, he is a full-blown bust. I have no faith in Jalen Hyatt at all, but he did get 3 targets last game. They should be trailing. I think he's an okay dart for a showdown slate. 4.8K in the captain saves you a lot of cash. If he hits on the deep ball, boom, you're ready to go, and you can stack up all these other guys that we want to get to. I don't think it's the worst thing in the world. I just wouldn't be highly exposed to it. And I don't think he's going to like break the slate or anything really. So you're either taking a shot on him doing that in captain, or you're just fading him. I just don't see the likelihood of him coming out and doing a lot of things being very good. Nobody else really stands out. It'd be interesting to see if Bo Collins end up getting on the field. 3 targets last game, didn't do anything, but like he's basically a better version of Hyatt right now. Like he looked good in the preseason. Hyatt has like not looked good at any point in the several years now he's been with New York. So I don't mind taking a shot on Bo Collins over Hyatt at all. Bo Collins basically the same price, 4.5K. Not going to project very well or anything. But I think he's interesting. I think he could be a surprise spark for the Giants here. So I'd be a little bit overweight on him at flex and a couple splashes of him in the captain slot. Okay, that's going to do it for me as far as my Thursday Night Football breakdown. Hopefully this helps you out, points you to a couple plays you weren't on, points you to a strategy that you can, deploy a little bit. I still think overall going Eagles heavy makes sense. I know we want to gain leverage, but I don't think going Giants heavy is the way to gain leverage. I think picking your spots with Giants and mostly going Eagles and just finding leverage within that Eagles stack. A.J. Brown as opposed to Saquon or Jalen Hurts, maybe Devontae Smith, and then maybe even including one of those backup running backs with Saquon Barkley, which is just something that, not everybody's going to want to do. Okay, that's going to do it for me. Hopefully this helps you out. If it does, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Both those things help me out a lot. And, of course, you can join our Discord for free and hit up our site, www.dfsbuild.com as well. Thanks for watching and good luck.